Good morning, guys. It's Simon with Trading Perform Coaching doing the market preview for ES. Before we get started, let's get the quick disclaimer out of the way. Okay, important disclaimer and reminder for all traders and investors. The webinar is for educational purposes only and not a recommendation to buy or sell any particular financial instrument. Equities, futures, options, and currency trading have large potential rewards, but also large potential risks. Be aware of the risks. Be willing to accept them in order to invest in the futures and options markets. Do not trade with money you can't afford to lose. The website is neither a solicitation nor an offer to buy or sell equities, futures, or options. No representation is being made that any account will or is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those discussed on this channel. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Absolutely consult your registered financial advisor and your risk trading plan before ever investing or trading any financial instrument. Okay, so I put out a homework video last night. I know it was very late. I'm sorry I fell a little ill after I ate yesterday. I'm not exactly sure what happened. I'm not sure what's going on with this chart either, why it's not updating. But this is totally locked up. Really? Okay, let's try something here. Task Manager. See if we end this. Okay, so let's see if that fixed the problem. TradeStation just got crushed, just crashed on me, guys. Give me just a second here. Don't send. Yes. So it happens. Don't send. Let's see if that fixes it. I can move this. Maybe we saved it. So let's try this. Hold on a second here. It's going to shut down. That really blows. Okay, let's pause this for a second. Okay, so importantly for this morning, we're obviously gapping down. Not much. 2.5 on ES, 23 on NQ. Okay, so dramatic difference. So you can get the numbers in play, right? 23 points is $460 a contract versus $112 a contract, right? Huge difference in discrepancy in the amount of volatility that's going on between the two. So the main things that I want to cover this morning, this main area right in here, okay? If you are aggressive on the short side, the market should hold, even if it pushes past Globex high, into Monday's volume point of control, and we should reject out of there. Whether that takes 2 minutes or 4 hours like it did on Friday, I don't know. I would expect 45 minutes from time of entry to time of target because that's been the average from the volume point of control. Okay, this 20. So that's the first important area I want everyone to have down. The next important area, lower, right, is this entire area from 24.30, which is Globex low, all the way down to 24.26 and a quarter. Okay, we have tested this area multiple times. I'm going to pull a blank chart, so I'm going to pull multiple views of this so everyone can see it. Okay, this is what it looks like from a daytime perspective on the TPO and the volume profile. You can see that we've double bottomed here at this 24.28. Between this 24.28 area and this 24.30 area, okay, we have held 2 times and bounced, and we're coming back for a third test. Okay, just like everything, it's always support until it's broken. The more times it's tested, the weaker that it gets. That being said, it's summertime, and in the first hour, it's really important to remember we've been totally mechanical. Everyone can see the screen. We're all right there. There's no issues. Is that correct? Are we good? Yes, okay, thanks, Sean. So, double bottom. Even if we get past this double bottom, right, which would actually be preferable for a good low, if we push, how am I doing on time? Now I'm doing terrible on time. If we push just below, right, as long as we hold this area in general or a little past, right, and then we end up with a low that looks like these single prints, which you'll only be able to tell later afterwards, right, but just a little bit below, and then we trap back in and push back up, right, up into this 2440 area, that would be a logical target back up. If we get underneath this HVN TPO, the logical target is down here to this 2420 area. This and then below that, a retest of this double, essentially a double bottom after the low, and a retest of the low of this 2412 to 2413. The bottom line is there's a big buyer here, and he's been here in Asia. So now I'm going to switch pictures, okay, because it's more clear on the 24-hour chart. Let me switch. Thank you. Get rid of this. Why don't I have my... Where are my... That is not good. There we go. Okay. Here's 2430. Okay, you can see from a 24-hour picture, 1, 2, 3, 4, then last night is 5, right? Between this 2430 and this 2428. Even if it's broken a little bit, right? You have this point of control, a minor point of control. I don't know how else to describe it, but there's a time build here where people try to hold. So I would assume a push in, and they're going to attempt to hold this the first time. So the key becomes, if we get under 2430, our ability to get back above 2430, and then a push back up. So this is overnight, right? So then the first area where we're going to have resistance is going to start at this 2433 and push all the way up into this 2435, 37 area, which, don't get confused between that, pay attention to the day time frame, but those are going to be the challenges that the market has, right? So you can see we trap back in below the low again. You can see we tried to break out between that 39 and 40. We trapped, we went to the other end of the range. So realize we've accomplished nothing, right? All the chart has told us so far is that there's sellers, committed sellers up here, right? And that there's committed buyers down here, right? And everything in between that is just locals handing contracts to one another, right? So in the first hour, the first thing we want to look for, what's been the typical process? So the overnight range, number one, let's go down the checklist, right? First of all, we're opening within yesterday's range, so we don't have a gap down, right? Number two, the range is 30 to 37 and a quarter, only slightly better than the 6 points we had on, I believe it was Friday, right? So not a huge overnight range, okay? Showing that no one's really committed one way or the other. Support is held in the overnight market, right? Nor did they test the bottom of that support and barely saved it. They pressed down there and it's held that location, okay? So don't assume the break, with the exception of, we're looking to see if NQ has an open drive lower, and if that has the ability to pull the ES down, but don't make the assumption that it will, because when we were going through this entire process and NQ was rolling down, and I'm going to assume most people had a chance to take a peek at NQ. So this is when NQ was getting clobbered, was right in here, okay? NQ was getting clobbered. This was our swing low from that, right? Even on days when NQ continued to get clobbered, ES showed repeated strength in this area. There are repeated buyers all throughout this area pushing back up. Don't assume the melt, right, just because NQ is melting. When we go take a peek at NQ, okay, what we're going to see okay, so first of all, we had a long liquidation day, right? This is the hurdle for NQ to get above for the day to push back up. Otherwise, it's trapped. That makes sense, right? That trap was prior consolidation, attempted break, and then breakout point and failure point, right? So that 81 to 98 area, again, becomes very important. We're opening up at 57.55. This is the area, if I'm going to short NQ, this is the area I want to target. Primary area, I don't want it above if I'm short, right? On the bottom end, right, we have a clear double bottom attempt right there at 57.28. And this is where we're trading right now, is at 57.55. And Globex low on that was 57.43, just slightly below there, right into this right there, right where that single point started right there. Okay, so once again on NQ, nothing's bearish. From swing low to swing high, approximately 50 retraces is sitting at 57.46. Okay, so we just missed that 50 retrace. The 62 retrace is sitting at 57.21, and the mid, meaning the highest swing between the gap, the top of the gap and the bottom of the gap, okay, even though that whole area is unauctioned, the market will most likely respond from this mid. I want to spread that out so you can see that, okay. That mid, plus or minus 10 points on NQ, that 62 retrace should have responsive buyers if and when we get down there first time in, okay. I want to say something important about NQ. NQ is a twitchy futures contract to trade. If you think ES is twitchy and you have a hard time sitting still, NQ is 10 times harder. I want to say this really quickly so everyone's clear. If I'm trading NQ, it is not uncommon for me to be up 10 points in the trade and end up taking a loss, especially if I'm shooting for a 20 or 30 point rotation, which is why I scale 10s, right? And it can be very frustrating because you can be in NQ, you can enter it, and seconds later be up 6 or 7 points. That's $120, $130, $140 a contract. Pause for a second to think whether you want to take a scale or not and have it reverse and go negative on you. Literally, as long as it took me to explain it, that whole process can happen. If you're not a fast mover and you're not really comfortable with it not working or really running away from you in either direction, I would suggest not trading it. Okay, the risk reward is better there, but it is harder emotionally to trade it because you have no control. It's very thin and it can get really wiped. Additionally, something very, very important to know about NQ. It's a thin product, and the long liquidations and the short covering squeezes, you see it all over the chart, can really be brutal where they do no volume and it really covers this. If you go through and look through the history of this product, it's much worse than ES is by miles and miles and miles. Okay, it really gets these ridiculous moves in it where you step in front of it, you think it's resistance, and it'll just plow you. Okay, that's part of making really sure you have your trade plan down. If you don't or you need help with it, contact me. I'll help you. I may even do a session on it. But the potential for gain and loss is very exaggerated in this, and the speed factor is on multiple of, I'd say, 3 or 4 to ES. Okay, so let's go through our checklist again one more time to make sure we have this down. We haven't broken support. We're opening in the middle of range. This 37 1/4 to 39 3/4 is my prime target to find responsive sellers this morning. Above that, buyers are in control. Keep in mind, we are a sneeze away to new all-time highs. Okay, that's literally one good day to new all-time highs. The short is the harder side of the trade. On the long side, we are looking for 10-point rotations down with 5-minute tick divergence, right? Negative 600 ticks for entry if we can get them, right? And then what we're on the watch out mostly for today is if NQ has some type of open drive lower, right? Does it pull ES down? We will not know ES is in trouble unless it gets below and holds below 24.26. Even if it does, this is a prime location. I'll be running this 24.1975. I'll be front running it by 1 point in this area. This area has been tested multiple times, but it's 20 points down. It will just need an excuse to get a counter rotation here. And then I am committed to taking a trade that 24.12 to 24.10 and taking a full stop in that area, regardless of time. Okay, my objective will be to swing out of this area. This is 25 down. I really am going to be committed at this area, if even to the point of half size double stop in this location, to make sure that I swing back up. If I get underneath here, 24.26 to 24.28 would be the upside target if we get down into that location. One last note before we open, and we're about to open, right? Just like yesterday when we get stopped. The process is, if things go wrong, to get back to process as quickly as possible so you do not cascade a bad day into a horrible day. Let's get this inserted. Okay, you do not want to turn a bad day into a horrible day by going off process and way off the reservation in your trading. Okay, we're way below the white zone on NQ. Monday's low is the first area. opening prints, I will get those posted right now. And I think it'll be a chop the first hour, will be my guess, to both sides. Obviously, we want to see if NQ can get above. I expect that 24.30 to 24.28 to hold down to 24.26, that whole thing, to hold the first time in and get responsive buyers. Okay, so we have two clear areas where we're looking to get an attempted trade. All the way up here, right? If you're aggressive and shorts are part of your trade plan, up in this area, right? Or from 24.30, really is what I'm pushing for now, down into this 24.26 for longs, okay? And then I've noted on the NQ, I will note where I'm taking it. The focus for me is on ES, so if you enter an NQ trade, be prepared to manage it on your own. I may not necessarily follow up right away with in, out, looking for sellers, looking for buyers, okay? I try to make that clear. It's hard for me to pay attention to it. I got so much going on, and remember my primary objective, right, is to help y'all, but also I'm managing my own trading in the process, right? And so sometimes, I mean, we all have our defaults. Someone pointed out that I didn't call, that I apparently entered a trade and I didn't notify till I was already out of the trade. The key areas I'm looking for responsiveness are the points of control, right? And I try to highlight where those are, or where the naked volume points of control are. That means on this chart, this 24.27 followed by this 24.1975, that area, plus or minus a point, those are my key areas. Anything else I take prior to that is lower odds than those areas, right? Backside test of the opening print should find responsive sellers. We are below Monday's low on both markets, right? But we're right into support on ES. So have I covered my trade plan accurately? Does everyone understand what I'm doing? I'm waiting to see if NQ can actually drag ES down. I'm planning to take a responsive trade between 24.30 and 24.26 for a push back up. I expect balance the first hour, and then we'll see if the bears can come up with anything. Again, it's a holiday week. It's really tough. It's not that we can't go down on a holiday week. It's just really tough to convince sellers that that's where they should be doing, is selling this market, right? Really, really tough. We're into this 24.30 right out of the gate here almost. We haven't quite hit it yet. You run the risk of stepping in front of an open drive lower if you take this trade here, just FYI. I tried to grab 24.30.50. I couldn't get it filled on either one. I'm pulling that order now. I tried 30.25, 30.50. I couldn't get filled on either one, so I'm on hold. It's not surprising that they tried to respond at first. I just didn't have the order there. I was hoping they were going to give me an extra minute to get in, so I limited. I didn't get filled. So I'll give it an extra minute, see if they push back in again. If not, I'm quite certain we'll get another setup today. It's the first couple of minutes. Econ, I did not look. Yellen at noon today, by the way, Central Time. Heads up on that. That is a red flag condition, right? Understand, if you trade while she's speaking, you accept that you might get swept either direction. Harker speaks at 10:15 a.m. Consumer confidence at 9 a.m. All these are Central Time. That's in 24 minutes, 25 minutes. And Draghi spoke overnight. So, again, we're testing down on this lower level. We haven't exactly bounced up, and we haven't bounced down. We're just sitting here. I'd love a test into this location, and I'm kind of inclined to give them a couple minutes to see what they do. I'm not in a rush this morning. Mari, I sent you an email. I don't know if you had a chance to respond to me yet. If you'll send me the email, I'll cover the area in detail. I just didn't know where you were referring, and I was in and out so much on NQ. I couldn't remember my own trades, so, or most of them. And if y'all give me a second, I'm actually going to give this the first 15 minutes to work itself out, because this has the potential of open drive lower. This has the potential to support. The markets aren't setting up. Tick is neutral. I'm just going to see where they take the market here. I'll give it a couple minutes. I'll be right back. Interesting pushback down into this 2430 area. Again, all the way into that 2826 is support. I'm on hold until I see a clear indication of some type of big negative tick. I tried to grab that earlier, came in and came out. We're below that 2430. We'll see. I will look to 2428 and a quarter. Wow, they're not going to take it there. Son of a gun. It's all right. I just want it where it's clear. Let's get rid of this. Well, I can't get rid of it, but I will get rid of it. There we go. So you can see, right, NQ and ES aren't matched up at all, right? You can tell that. Backside test that opening print. If you short it, you got to be able to tolerate a move up into that area. Again, tick is showing totally neutral, right? Summertime print. So it's hard for us to get an edge when we can't tell what the hell everyone's doing, right? So now NQ is kind of leading up and ES is dragging. So again, I'm just on hold here. It's taking the lead because look how strong the reversal is relative to ES. Whereas you think it was so weak yesterday, you'd think it'd be not the one to get the reversal. So again, 28 1/4 is where I'm looking to take my dive in. I've already tried to 30 and I couldn't get it. It bounced off of that. Mari, I got your email and I will be I will attack that as soon as we slow down this morning. "15 minutes until econ." Again, if we break this 2430, right, any bounce out, so there's two risks. If we sweep this area, this becomes resistance and our upside target from here. Easiest way not to get swept is the first half hour to hour, right? Let it work out. But what are we doing? It's the same price action from 5 days. We're just balancing, right? And then after the first hour, whichever direction we've broken, we've tended to roll that way, right? So I don't think you've missed anything. I thought the only trade was if you grabbed 2430 right out of the gate and you got a chance to roll up to 32. That was it. I don't think we've missed anything other than that, unless you've been scalping NQ, and that's been not an easy trade. Rouse has a good reminder, 24.29, 3/4, mid of June. We haven't broken this 24.30 area yet, right? See what the market's forcing you to do psychologically? You're having to commit. So sometimes, like yesterday, it's straightforward. Like I'm like, boom, I see that, right? But if I take the trade here, I needed it to work fast, which I tried and it did, right? But if I take the trade here again and we sit for 5, 10, 15 minutes, right? I see it as I'm opening my mind to either I have to have the acceptance that we'll push down into this area and I will be okay, right? And I'm willing to tolerate that risk, or I'm not willing to tolerate that risk, right? So to me, that scares me when I say that. When I had to put on size here, knowing that we could test here, I don't like it. What I'd prefer is the market just to have opened up here and slingshot it up, right? Or blown past here and make this a backside resistance, right? But the market's telling me what it wants. There's no point in fighting it. The market's telling me it's chopping. There's no immediate buyers at 24.30 yet, right? So we may have to stack up sellers and then squeeze them out back up again towards the gap fill, right? But either way, it's not obvious to me. And I don't have a process to follow here because I have neutral tick, right? And tick isn't very helpful to me off the open. I don't have tick divergence. I don't have tick push. I don't have a 10-point rotation. I'm not down 10 off the gap. I don't have anything to work off of, right, except total gut in this area, because I don't have anything that I recognize. If anything, I'd say gap down, 2 red bars, that's the potential open drive lower. Nasty red bar, right? So I don't want to put myself in a position where I have to guess, well, is this going to reverse and hold? It's ES, so it probably will, right? But I don't want to guess. I want to know. So I tried here, couldn't get filled. Even if I did get filled, I certainly won't stick around for this reversal at the open for 15 minutes in one particular area. That's dangerous for me. I'd have already blown out of this trade, either flat, down, or slightly profitable. So I'm waiting for this area or I'm waiting for this area. Those are my two choices. People who tried to short NQ this morning or go long NQ have gotten whipped around in a blender. A 10-point blender. 20-point blender. While we wait for the next 10 minutes for Econ to come out, I'm going to do the CL chart really quick. Lost it. I did not save any of my work on this. Secondary HVN, right? Single prints right there. Let's see. Okay. Not single prints. But at the bottom, that whole area. Old TPO support area. Covered over. down. And then this is secondary. Make that color pink. And then above we have single prints and a huge area. Okay, it's a double single print, and then a TPO. And I doubt we get any further than that anyway, so that's fine. Single print, secondary, primary. Copy window. File, new, workspace, print. Format, analysis techniques, remove, close. Well, let's stop this.